All right. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode where I'm going to talk about why OCD and anxiety isn't who you really are. And I want to really help reframe and ideally, even create a paradigm shift of your understanding of yourself because so often we stay stuck in this loop because we simply misidentify with the mind. So, before we dive in, those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt, and I'm the founder of Restored Minds. And if you're benefiting from this, please do us a quick favor and help us by liking, subscribing, and leaving a nice review. I would very much appreciate it. And if you are looking for help on your journey to recovery, please check out the links in the notes as we have some great resources to get you started, or head over to www.restoredminds.com. So, let's go ahead and dive in. So, when people are stuck in OCD and anxiety, what's happening is that they are experiencing this fear, right? Essentially, what we're really talking about is fear. Fear is a lower emotion that we all experience, and when we're very resistant to it, what happens is this it builds up this pressure in our nervous system, and from that, our minds respond to the emotion and create thoughts that are essentially justifying the presence of the emotion. So when we feel fear, our mind comes up with, well, what if this, what if this, what if this, what if this, right? And when we identify with our emotion or our thoughts or our mind or the content, we've lost sight of who we really are, which is the fact that we're just conscious. We're aware. The fact that you're conscious of your thoughts and of your feelings is an indication that you are not those things, because you cannot be both the observer of the object and the object itself. And that's the whole idea of subject-object awareness, meaning, and Michael Singer does a great job explaining this in his 3 books, The Untethered Soul, and I believe it's the Surrender Experiment, and I think his last book is Living Untethered. But then Eckhart Tolle talks about it. Obviously Dr. Hawkins, right? Frederick Dotson, anyone that talks about consciousness and teaches on consciousness. One of the main things that we understand up front is that consciousness exists behind or beyond the mind and emotion and even the body, right? So our false identification with something is what then gives it power over us. So if you falsely identify with the mind and your mind's producing all these wild, intrusive thoughts, you believe you are doing that. And therefore you're broken, you're crazy, you're distracted, like you're the problem, right? And even though you'll know that your mind hasn't always done this, or you haven't always felt this emotion, or you haven't always had this experience, and so because you haven't, you've been able to compare this against that, and identify that this is not how things normally are. This isn't what I normally prefer, right? The only constant there is you observing the different states that are emerging, the different thoughts that are emerging, right? No emotion can last forever, nor no thought can last forever, right? When we resist the emotion, when we resist the thought, we paradoxically perpetuate them, but it's not who you are. And when you understand this idea that you aren't your thoughts and you aren't your feelings, and it's not just me saying that to be friendly and trick you. It's that's the truth, right? It's true. You can't be the thoughts because they're constantly changing. It's not that you're constantly changing, the thoughts are, and you're observing the fact that they change, much like your body, right? So Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this in his book Wishes Fulfilled, right? And he talks about how your body essentially every cell in your body dies and replicates. And I don't know, I've heard different timelines on this, but it's within, let's say, I want to say 11 months. I've heard all sorts of things, but let's just say a year. Let's just say that 1 year, right? And we know this is true, right? Because if you remember yourself when you were 7 years old or 17 years old, when you looked into the mirror when you were 17, and now let's say 18. So now I'm 38 years old. When I look into the mirror, I'm a completely different person than when I was 18. Not one cell of that 18-year-old body exists anymore. Right? the entire bone has been, every cell has died and replicated and created anew, right? It's like when I was 7, my, these bones in my arms and legs and throughout my body have all again died and expanded, gotten bigger, right? I don't have the same femur in my leg that I did when I was 7 years old. So even the body, right? Like we can falsely identify with that and realize that it's an ever-changing thing. The only constant is consciousness, is awareness. And identifying with your OCD or anxiety or your thoughts, right, intrusive thoughts, causes you to react in a way where it's this dire need to change it, this dire need to fix it, because you falsely assume that it's you and that you're the problem and that you're wrong for these experiences, when really a lot of these experiences are completely out of your control. And ironically, it's because you identify with it, and it's because you then suppress or repress or try to push it down or control it or remove it and all this stuff, that keeps you in that state. And that's what the loop is. And so when you get this and you really understand that, like, you are not your intrusive thoughts, you are not the anxiety, you are not the OCD and anxiety loop. That's not who you are, and you should never identify as that. Your identification with it is just a misunderstanding out of naivete. It's a hypnosis, if you will. When you've been hypnotized by the mind, you believe you are the mind instead of the mind being something that you observe. And this one step, right? This is why I talk about this in chapter 6 of my book, right? I talk about, like, when we're working on recovering from OCD and anxiety, this loop, we have to integrate this idea of consciousness, and we have to apply the tools from this place of consciousness, because if we're trying to identify with the mind and fix ourselves using the tools, we're going to fail every time. Because the mind just keeps projecting fear onto different topics. So all of a sudden you handle one topic and then you feel good about it, and then it latches onto a new thing and a new thing and a new thing. And then you get into this, this belief that I have this chronic thing that's going to last forever, and that I have this condition and this disease, and, beliefs that are very harmful, very limiting, very incorrect in my opinion. And I know this is controversial, right? Because that's just the fringe that I tend to play in. But I mean, it's what I genuinely believe. And if you're someone who's stuck, part of the problem is first off is your identification, who you understand yourself to be. And if you're identified as, I am OCD, I am anxiety, like I hear people say this stuff, I'm so OCD, or I'm anxious, or I'm this. It's not who you are. You're observant of that. You're an observer of the idea of, I'm having these intrusive thoughts, I'm experiencing this anxiety. You really are experiencing that, but you have to be able to separate yourself first and really work from that correct plane of consciousness. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that this challenged maybe some perspectives that are keeping you stuck. And again, if you're looking for help with this, check the links in the notes or head over to restoredminds.com. And with that, again, I wish you a great week and a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Hey there, thanks so much for watching that episode. If you found it helpful, we have some links to some other episodes that we think you might like as well. And if you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from fear, stress, and anxiety, either check out the links in the notes or head over to restoredminds.com. Thank you, and talk to you soon.